You can hear my echo, so that's a good sign to begin. Greetings, everyone. So be it morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are logging in from, thank you for being here for the TaroWorks 3.0 webinar. My name is Gordon Lau. I'm the Technical Account Manager for TaroWorks. Joining me tonight is Erin Yamoka. She also works in technical accounts with me, and some of you already have been working with her on support cases. So everyone in TaroWorks is extremely excited about delivering this major release. It is a big milestone for us since we began in March 2013, and with it, we are officially out of beta. I just wanted to take a moment and thank you all for being part of our success and letting us be a part of yours. We do have a couple of new faces here, so what I'd like to do is take a few minutes to sync up. Then I'll talk about the major differences between previous versions. Most of these were covered by my 3.0 video. So what I'll basically do is go over those quickly and then shift to the technical points for those of you that are upgrading from 2.27 to this latest 3.0 and leave lots of time for questions on the floor. As Elaine said, if you got any question, please feel free to write in the question box, and also if you need to raise your hand, do so, and Elaine will facilitate. I will take breaks at various points in time, and I'll check through the questions, so don't worry. Okay, well, with that, let's get to it. For those of you who are new to TaroWorks, the main thing that we're trying to do is break through the paperwork barrier. You're doing great works out there. Your field officers are good at what they do. But at the end of the day, organization faces a barrier that slows down their ability to scale. If you're using paper, you're used to these type of issues, illegible results, answers not being filled, forms being destroyed before it gets to the field offices that can tabulate them into Excel. Then someone in the back office get overly deluged with them, and mistakes happens. We're all just humans. There are typos and errors that's hard to catch. All this results in bad reporting, lost time, money, and frustrations for the team. So there are a good number of mobile solutions out there. They're all touts clean data, complete data, and automatic aggregation. With the 17 years of experience we have in the field, we hear the need for something more. We hear that there's the need for offline operations, rich media collection, so that's GPS, photos, signatures, and also you want to push relevant in-field data to your field officers so that they can you can empower them to make the best decision in the field. Finally, you want to deploy this very quickly and easily without having to buy and set up your own servers and having a large IT team. The way that TaroWorks approach field operations is that field works are generalized as jobs, right? Job is a workflow that your field officers will conduct. It's made of one or more tasks. And it's in the task you could specify, do this survey, watch this video, check on the information from the last visit, for example. And it also includes vital information for that job. If your job is about checking on a farmer or how they cropped it last time, that information is included so that when they go into the field, even when offline, they can see this information. So again, that's what a job is. To simplify how TaroWorks works, someone in the back office, they will define and create the jobs, load it into Salesforce. And then when a field officer sync, copies of that job are sent to the device where they'll go into the field where they possibly may not have any connection, and they'll accomplish the jobs as situations dictate. When they return into an area with connection, they again will sync, and any information that they collect or records of jobs completed will travel through the internet into the server where your back office staff, be it at the office or on a beach somewhere, will be able to see the results of the work and generate reports leveraging Salesforce. So in the front end, we have the Android device being ubiquitous and low cost, very well suited for field work. And also in the back end, we're leveraging a world-class system, Salesforce.com. A lot of things can be done simply by clicking and dragging, and there are no programming skills required for this. So that brings us to actually the main thing about version 3.0. What really drove this? Why did we work so hard? We work so hard because we hear the need, people asking, well, I know that you have good security, right? But I want more. So as you know, in the previous version, the whole transmission process from the device through the internet into Salesforce is already secured. And of course, when you access Salesforce through your browser, that is also secure. One of the main things we did is that we have locked down the database on the device so that it is encrypted. And so that's one way we have made it more secure. Another way that we have made it more secure is that passwords are no longer seen in Salesforce. The password used by your field officers are not seen. You can set password policies on these, and you can also set login restrictions. So let me take a quick comparing security. So this is the old system. As you can see, the username and passwords are can be seen. That's the old system. What you're going to do now is that you move into Salesforce user, and just very quickly, this allows you to set password policies that I've mentioned before. For example, how long password expires, how many minimum characters you can have, do you need to mix alpha and numerics? So these are the type of things you can set with the new system. You can also dictate login hours and login IP ranges. So these are some things that you can totally set. Let's take a pause here. I want to see, Elaine, are there any questions so far? Okay.
No questions.
Looking good. So what we got here, how did we make this possible? We leveraged the Salesforce feature known as Partner Community. It is originally meant for a company to work with their suppliers, their distributors, the service providers, so maybe supported, they outsource it, right? So this is why the term is called partners. Company can grant selected partners access to view and manipulate records. They can also view reports and dashboards. And so what we've done, we have leveraged this very powerful feature. It also gives you a lot of abilities at a very reasonable cost. So this is why we're leveraging it, and this is why we will mention this as a partner community when we talk about the setup you need to do. So to clarify some terms up front, field officer, again, these are the human staff using TaroWorks in the field. Right? With 3.0, these field officers must now be users in Salesforce. Right? The license type that they'll need to do to log in is the partner community user. This is also the user type you can give to your stakeholders, such as donors, in order to share your results. Right? And the mobile user, previously in 2.27, it's actually a record. Now we kept the interface similar, right? You still have the mobile user tab. It is where you'll control record assignments for your field officers, similar to what you have before. So I just want to call these out. If you have any questions about the terms, I'll be more than happy to go through them again at the Q&A part. So one of the top questions you will come at this stage is, if the field officer now have Salesforce accounts that are partner community users, how will they log in? So one thing we have a new flow. You start off with the URL entry. Then you follow by entering the username and password. So let me show that now. So everyone, this is BlueStack. So this is actually not a physical Android device. This is an emulator sitting in my computer. Sometimes, actually, I get questions on, can I use TaroWorks on my computer? This is one way to do it. So for a field officer logging in, you'll see they'll start off with this screen that haven't logged in before. They'll ask you to set up a device. They'll now need to enter the community site URL, which will be different from the site URL that you had before. You can check the version number right down here. If you click continue, it will check the server URL address, and if it is correct, it'll take a moment and it'll show you the splash screen. So you'll see the TaroWorks logo here. This is actually customizable, and if you have questions about how to do that, we may go through that later. So the other thing is that because your field officer are now logging in using Salesforce users accounts, so the username will also change. The username will take the form of an email address. So I'm gonna put in my username. I'll enter in my password. I'll click login. So what this is doing now, that page is actually controlled via Salesforce. And so what you'll see is that you will get a message here saying, TaroWorks is a third-party app. It's not published by Salesforce.com, and it's asking permission to log into your Salesforce account. Do you want to grant this app access? So you'll click Allow, and once you have allowed, the rest of the sync process happens as before, and then the sync is complete. So after you've logged in, it is virtually the same experience that your field officer have come to know and love, with a few bells and whistles that we add in 3.0, which I'll go through. So now I see that there's a question here. Does this mean FO needs to use one of the 10 free power of a Salesforce user account? If we have more than that 10 FO, what do we do? Excellent question, Miranda. Can't ask it at a better time. So the answer to this is that the FO will not be using one of your 10 free Power of a Salesforce user accounts. Rather, when you become a customer of TaroWorks and you install version 3.0, your instance will automatically be provisioned with the partner community licenses. And these are the type of licenses you will give to your field officer. Elaine, can we unmute Miranda for a second?
Miranda, you're unmuted.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry if that question's a little basic. It's still quite theoretical, all this for us, so trying to work out what it means in practice. But I think you're saying that we won't, if we have 25 field officers, we won't need 25 Salesforce accounts. Is that correct?
That's right. So there are different, the way that Salesforce work as a business is that they have many different license types, and they charge organizations such as companies and yours different fee per month to use a license type. So the one you have, the 10 license you talk about, are Salesforce licenses. They just call it Salesforce license, and I'll show you the type later on. The type that the field officer will use are the partner community licenses. So these are separate class of licenses. They cost less but still have a lot of same power, but you don't need to pay extra for them. It's something that you will get when you purchase TaroWorks, and then you simply have to pay the TaroWorks license fee depending on how many people accessing the TaroWorks app.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Miranda. Stu also has a question from IDE, so let me unmute you, Stu. Go
Hi,
ahead, Stu.
Gordon.
Hey, Stu.
Thanks for the presentation so far. Just wondering if it's necessary to be connected to network to log in. Just looking at the protocol there, it looks like you're requiring connectivity for login. And is there any option, if somehow a field officer is logged out and outside a service area, is there any way of getting into TaroWorks?
That's a very good question. Just like before, network connectivity is required to log in because that's how they will check your credentials. What happened if the field officer somehow logged out and outside the service area? Just like currently, if they somehow, first of all, if they don't have connection, they cannot log out normally. So that's usually preventing that case from happening. If they happen to log out somehow because either they cleared the app data or they have uninstalled the app, then they will not be able to log in until they have connection again, which is the case that it is now.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. That's another great question. Okay,
Go ahead, Gordon, go
so
ahead.
don't see any more questions at the moment, so I will proceed. Login flows and app features case. So first thing we want to show you is the drill down helper. It can help you auto-suggest records. Sometimes organization finds themselves in the drill down with many, many records, and you're trying to find the one to display. Don't worry if you don't know what I'm talking about because you're new to TaroWorks, because I'm about to show you a feature. Okay, so here's TaroWorks again. I am the field officer. And what I'm going to do is I'll click Jobs. Here are the jobs that Headquarter has assigned me. And I can do them in any order, depending on what order is appropriate. One of the jobs is to view info about the contacts that you have assigned to me. Right? As a field officer, I have an area of responsibility. I'm going to start a new job. Right? This job is very simple. I have only one task. So this task, I'm simply responsible for reviewing a piece of data. I just want to make sure it's correct. So I've been assigned many names, right? Amy Jackson all the way to Xavier Wexler. So you might assign me 20 people. You might assign me 200 people, right? This is a feature of what we call drill down. You will go through the database hierarchy until you see the record that I need to work on. So in this case, I want to look at Wexler. One way I can do is I could scroll all the way to the bottom. Not too bad if I have 20 or 30 or so, right? But if you get a large number, it gets a little bit tedious. So what can you do? We added this new drill down helper. Notice that as you press W, it narrows it down. You press a second character, it filters it out. So I can now see this record. And here comes our second bonus. So if you upgrade to 3.0, you can now actually show a geolocation field inside a field contact task. So that's a geolocation field. View data task can now directly display a geolocation field. The auto field, you can also pass that into a question. You can pass that into a GPS question. Again, I can show that later on in Q&A. Well, I'm hearing something. Let's see, is there more questions? Okay, give me a moment. I'll get to those questions. So another thing we have in this version is that you can edit any job, whether it's complete or not, and you can edit any task within the job. So you have a job with 3 surveys, you can actually jump around and edit them once you have done them. Great. Let's pause here. I see a question. Let's see. Is network? Oh, I think that's good. Okay, that's internal questions, we got that taken care of. So another new thing, if you've seen the video, new features addition, some for performance management, and this is something that a number of you have been asking for. You can set and monitor targets, not only by how many records have been created, but you could also add all those records, the number of fields inside those records. So it's great for sales, it's great for honey collection, anything that you have a numeric quota for that changes depending on the record. Just like before, weekly and monthly periods are available, and different targets can be set for different staff. So here it is quickly. This is the performance indicator. When you go to the performance tab, you can set a new indicator. So in this case, there's a sales quota. We're looking at a transaction object, and we want to sum the amount field. So I'm just going to say, okay, every month field officer need to make 2,400 in whatever currency it happens to be. So I'm going to save and apply. And the next time I sync, that will appear in my device as a performance target that I need to meet by the end of this week. Okay. So while that's the performance. And other things that we quickly have, we are leveraging Salesforce better because we're using the partner community, and because all your field officers are now actually users. So one of the things you can do is that you have more customization. You can set default currency. So you got field officers in Kenya, and you also have field officers in Indonesia. What happened is that field officers in Kenya, you can default to the Kenyan shilling. People in Indonesia can default to the Indonesian rupiah. Same idea for record types. And there are also improved translations that's possible. I can go into more what that means later. Community for your partners. So this is one of the things we occasionally get questions about. Quite often, in fact, it's basically, I'm an NGO, I'm a social enterprise, we have stakeholders, be it funders, investors, and we want to show the good work that I'm doing. We want them to see on the dashboard, engage them in the work that we're doing. And it would be great if I can share our Salesforce account with them, but we only have the 10 free license given by Salesforce. Well, what you can do now is that you can, using these partner community licenses, let me find it, you can log in, you can give them login, and they can log into your community, and then you can restrict their access. All right, so in this case, this is what a partner community site looks like. Right, so a donor can come in, they can look at individual records. So let's take a look at Wexler. We can also have reports and dashboards. So here's me as a donor looking at this particular record. Here's the report, and I can look at dashboards that you have given me access to. So again, you have full control over who sees what and who can do what. And now, by buying TaroWorks, you also, on the side, get this really, really great benefit. Okay, let's take a moment. Any questions so far, Elaine?
Nope, no questions.
No, I don't see any on the question tab at the moment, so I'll move on. So I said community site. Upgrade overview. So this is very key part. For those of you on 2.27 or below, there's a number of key steps you want to go through. The whole process, the upgrade itself, takes approximately 2 to 3 hours, maybe a little bit more if you have many users to set password for, but basically can be done within a day. So what's the upgrade process? Give me a second. I think there's someone that I need to mute a bit. And mute all. Okay. So there's one thing oh, Kit. Let me unmute you, Kit. Kit,
Hello?
please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My question as a donor is, can you share photos, videos, etc. with donors? Can you do anything in real time?
So photos taken from the field, once they sync it into Salesforce, you can see it by logging in as well. Currently, we do not have the ability to capture video using the TaroWorks app and then sharing it with you. But one thing you can do is that, in general, Salesforce has something called a library. So you can put files into the library. So anyone from you can treat it as a file share. So your recipient organization, they will drag a file or upload a file into their library, and then you can access that library and get the files out.
Great.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I think this is fabulous for donors.
Glad to hear it. I got a question from Trish. Trish, let me unmute you. Give me a second. And are you joining us from Nepal?
I am in Nepal. I'm in Bhaktapur, Nepal right now.
Awesome. Okay, please ask your question.
So when you were demonstrating what my stakeholders could look at, it seemed as though they could see the contacts, and it seemed as though they could see dashboard. Any custom tabs? I was on.
Okay, Trish, no problem. There is a little bit of a gap. There is a little bit of a gap, but I can make out your question. So basically, it looks like stakeholders can see contacts and dashboard. How about other tabs? Absolutely. Custom tabs that you can create can be added to into that community portal, and so that's something I would love to show you after I set up the upgrade process. So I'm definitely going to circle back to that. One more thing I quickly forgot to note is that when you get TaroWorks, you definitely will get an increase in your data storage. We completely understand that you're doing a lot of work out in the field. In fact, in one of our instances 2 weeks before, we hit 16,000 job activities in a week. That's the highest we have so far, and very glad to have the hard number to show the stability of it. So that's one thing. That's why we worked with Salesforce to get you these extra data storage that you'll need to keep running. And I hope that is a very welcome news to all of you who might be struggling with data storage. Okay, let me dock this in and then continue with the upgrade process. So there's pre-installation, installation, and post-installation part that you should think about this in. And so what you want to do as the system admin or the person in charge is to understand what it all involves and then space it out to your team accordingly. So first thing first, If your instance is not yet on 2.27.4 because you're on a version lower, please upgrade it first to 2.27.4. Just simply make sure that you are having all the prerequisites needed to go to 3.0. And there's another thing, Salesforce partner communities, as I've mentioned. I will show this briefly in the demo that's to come, but you must get partner communities provisioned into your instance. This is something that we are currently handling for our TaroWorks customers. There are also step-by-step instructions. Please feel free to go through our Zendesk, our TaroWorks support site for information. So we got the pre-upgrade here. One thing is that the pre-upgrade communication, right? The first thing you need to do is actually not technical. The first thing you need to do is communicate with your field officers. Let them know when you plan to do the upgrade, right? Also, let them know that they should sync their information prior to upgrade. Now, if they weren't able to sync, that's okay. That's okay. But the main reason we ask them to sync before is that, especially if they're using the drill down, they'll be able to sync and get the information from the server, and that will enable them to drill down to most recent set of records that they should have. Let them know that when the upgrade is complete, they will be logging in using new credentials. One of the things is that the login names will be in the format of an email. So one of the things is that you might just need to tell them to press Shift for the @ symbol. It might sound simple, but there are little things that people might need to get used to. The password will also change. You can try to set them as before, but I know that there are a number of you that are setting password with just 3 characters. Salesforce, if you set the minimum to be, let's say, 8 characters, then you'll be forced to change the password as well. Because during the upgrade, they will be unable to log back in. So if you're going to have your field officer continue to do their work while you're upgrading, they should definitely not log out of the device. Right? Have the final sync stay logged in, because you cannot log out or sync while you're upgrading. Let me see if there's any other questions. Nope. Okay. Great. So pre-upgrade configuration, one of the things you want to do, enable your partner relationship management. You want to enable the communities, and then you create the profile for back-end users, and finally create profile for the field officers. Let's quickly break this down, what it means to enable partner relationships and enable communities. And again, I will just show you what the screen looks like, because the instance that I'm showing you already had this configured. It's already 3.0, and we have this, like I said, on our support website. So let me quickly go to here, and then go to Setup. One of the things, make sure you have partners enabled. When you type in partner, you click on setting. You need to enable it. So this is what you should see if you have it enabled. If you haven't have it enabled yet, there'll be a checkbox that say enable partner relationship management. After you have done that, you'll be able to set your communities. In your communities, give me a moment. So in your communities, this is where you can create not only one, but you can actually create multiple communities for different sets of partners if you so choose. You set up a community. Again, one of the key things is that your site, your community domain, it's going to be different from the previous site domain that you have. Salesforce forced you to be different. That's not something we can control, but again, just notice that whichever community domain you set, that's going to be part of the URL. Okay. The next thing that I talked about in the pre-setup is creating profiles for TaroWorks backend users. For small organizations, everyone, let me see, set profiles. Okay. For small organizations, people tend to choose system administrator for all their backend users, which is great until you grow to a certain point, you have more users, you want to control security, then you might not want to give everyone the ability to turn your accounts off, for example. So in that case, you would want to clone a standard user into a TaroWorks user profile and then give them the set of permissions that they need to create the surveys and the job. Similarly, once you've enabled your partner users, you will be able to have this profile called Partner Community User. Also clone that, and then that is how you will create the TaroWorks Partner User profile. And this is the profile that your field officers ought to have in order to access TaroWorks from their device. Okay, let's take a pause here, see if there are any questions. Let's see, I think I see some questions. Elaine, can you unmute Julia?
Julia, you're unmuted.
Hello, Julia.
How are you?
Very good. Happy to hear from you. How's Boston?
It's doing very well, thanks. Thanks for doing this session. It's really helpful to see all the new features.
Okay. So one of the things we got is what are the implications of the new mobile user setup for limited survey visibility? The implication, I think you're talking about grouping. So for grouping, this is a prerequisite. So I'll definitely want to talk to you offline about the implementation, but grouping is something that first we need to have these users first, then we'll be able to push out grouping in a future release. The other questions you have is when you say you can now set default record types, does it mean that you can map surveys to specific record types? The answer is no. Currently, you still can't set to specific record types. So only in the case where the field officer would create record, it would default to that type. What I'd like to do is you got more questions. I would circle back to you, Julia, on these. Great. And then I will also continue with the rest of the upgrade. Okay, so TaroWorks partner users, again, this is a profile you create that you can clone, you can rename. Make sure you've set your permissions, especially to objects and fields. You may want to enable tabs. This is similar to the question Trish asked earlier. How can you let them see custom object tabs? Okay. Post-upgrade, and by the way, just to be very clear, what do we mean by pre-upgrade, the upgrade, and post-upgrade? The upgrade part is simply the part where you click on the Salesforce package link, and it's a three-step process. One is accepting the which permissions, API permissions needed. The second step is setting the profiles, and third is just clicking install. So now we're talking post-upgrade. It's after install and after you getting the message on that the package have installed properly. You want to set up you can customize your community if you so choose. You can make sure that you set up library. Again, previously you didn't need to add anyone to the library, but now you need to explicitly add the partners group to the library so that they can access the media, so that they can run a job where you're showing a video. And also set up a TaroWorks partner account. So what does that mean? So partners account, you remember earlier how I have said, give me a second. Right. You remember how I said that the partners community is meant for companies to share with their suppliers and distributors and service providers. Well, those are other companies, so they're set up as accounts. And in TaroWorks, what you need to do is set up an account. You can call it anything, but we recommend you call it TaroWorks Partner Account. You can click on Manage External Account, and then you should have the option of enabling it as a partner. So this means that the contacts that is part of this account can now become a partner user. So here's the account. Here is the contact record that falls under that account. And because it falls under an account that is a partner account, you can actually enable it as a partner user. Right now it says disable because it's already enabled. And so this contact, Gordon Lau, will show up as a user in setup. So here's the license, the question asked earlier, right? It uses a partner community license, not one of your 10 Power of Us Salesforce licenses. And the profile is using the TaroWorks partner user profile that I mentioned earlier. One very key note about the TaroWorks partner user profile is that if you have any custom objects, and almost everyone who uses TaroWorks use custom object, you will need to give them the appropriate access, not only to the object, as here. So I have a custom object named farmers, and I have a custom object named farmer groups. I need to give them preferably read, create, and edit permissions. And not only that, you also need to give them the permissions in the field settings. So let me scroll up. So custom field level security, any fields that your mobile users will end up writing to needs to be grant permission in this case. Okay, let's take a look. So those are the key things I want to call out. And other things you want to do post-upgrade action item is you want to generate your community partners users. You want to communicate your new credentials and URL, the community site URL, to your field officers. And then you activate the TaroWorks 3.0. Finally, your field officers will log into TaroWorks 3.0 on their Android app. Now, what I'm going to do very quickly is, what I'm going to do is show you the migration, because a lot of you who are using TaroWorks now on 2.27 or previous have a lot of older mobile users. So how are you going to migrate them? Well, we have taken care of that. So we have built in a wizard. So here you are. This is the mobile user. When you upgrade, you will see Mobile Users tab will now look different. It'll look like this. If you click on the filter, All Mobile Users, what it will do is that it will detect any all mobile users that you have that were logging in on 2.27. So we have a username called Past Century. And what we're going to do now is to basically use the Generate Partner Users wizard. Again, this is covered in our material. Click on Survey, so this way you get the URL. After the apex, delete it, and then type in Generate Partner Users. You'll be brought to this screen, right? And basically, it asks you, for any old mobile users, I want to create a new user account for them. So which account they should be created? Well, it will detect any valid partner accounts. You can then set the domain name. So for example, if my organization is your org name, or let's say Aquacom actually. Some of you are familiar with the Aquacom demo, aquacom.org. And fill in the domain. This will automatically append this domain name to the end of your existing usernames, right? So, and then you have your email. This is the email that will get the setting password for a new user. So I'm going to set this to myself. glau@graminfoundation.org. Generate users, click OK. So what it will do is that it runs through a script. You only need to run this once, and it detected that, oh, past century here. We now made a new username for it. It's now pastcentury@aquacom.org. Let's go to my email. See. Oh. Hello, TaroWorks. So you'll get an email like this. Now, you'll get an email like this for each one of your existing field officers that you have migrated. You'll get a link to set your password for the first time. I strongly suggest you open it in an incognito window, mainly because your window will probably be logged into the instance already. So when you do that, you will see this page, and you will set a new password for your field officers. In this case, I'm going to set it 5 letters. I think it's still legitimate, so let me click Save. You should definitely write this password down and give it to your field officers, because they will need this when they log in next time. So that's what I mean when we say generate community partner users for your existing mobile users. Then you'll need to communicate new credentials and URL. Where do you find the URL? You'll find the URL in Setup. Type in Communities, all communities, and you'll have an existing community here. Click the box here, Administration Setting, and then this here is your URL. Again, all of this is in our documentation. So that's a summary. Version 3.0, extra security, share Salesforce access to your stakeholders, better leverage Salesforce features, a lot of new and improved features itself. I didn't have time to go into those, but again, it's already on the video, so I would like to direct you to that. Upgrade process again. There's a pre-installation step, communication, communication, communication. There are 4 configurations you need to do. After then you install the package itself, and then after the post-installation, you need to do 3 configurations and 4 tasks, which is talking to your field officers, being mainly one of them. Final reminders for existing versions, please upgrade to 2.27.4 first. If you've got any, make sure you have Salesforce partner communities before you install the package. Very important. Contact us if you need any help. So with that, thank you very much. I will definitely take questions now. Elaine, please let me know who's up first.
Stu had a follow-up question, so let me unmute you, Stu. Go for it.
Hi, Gordon. This may have been asked already, but I just wanted to confirm, with the new setup, even though we've got the sort of partner set up, we're still not able to assign jobs to specific groups of users. Is that correct?
That is correct. We are working on this. So 3.0 moving into this as a prerequisite. It will be available in the next release.
Great.
Awesome. Anyone else? Aaron, did I forget anything?
Hi, Gordon. If nobody else has any other questions, we've gotten some inquiries about customizing the community site. I don't know if we have time to show a few of those
Oh,
tasks.
absolutely. Yeah, actually, since we're there, that's the perfect question for it. So when you're in communities, click tabs and pages, and you want to add a custom object. So let's see, one of my custom object is farmers. So farmer groups. So I want to click that in. And so I will click Save. So that's one thing. First of all, you need to select the tab. You need to save it. And the other thing you want to make sure is that the profile community users have permission to see that tab, right? It still all respect the existing security rule. So now I have updated it. So let's refresh. And again, this is the community side. So thinking, wow, okay. Looks like it's refreshed, but we don't see the tab. Well, let's dig in why, right? It's probably because in the profile, actually, we've got the profile right here. In the profile, we need to set the tab to be visible. So I'm going to edit, and I'm going to find farmer groups, default off, default on. So I'm going to click Save. Okay. So again, all the Salesforce security permission that you know and love. Now I'm going to go back into the community. I'm currently logged in, right, as a partner community user, past century. And now farmer group appears. And so that's the Trish, let me unmute you and see if that answered your question.
That's exactly what I expected. Yes, that's great.
Awesome. Oh, I know what I forgot. Very important part. Leave task, give me a second. So one very important thing is that in settings, when you upgrade, please, please, please tell your field officers to go into logs and then turn this checkbox on, record logs on the device. For security reason, we default this to off, right? For privacy reasons, we default this to off. However, if you want us to help debug, it's best to keep it on the moment they upgrade to the new version. Okay, I think I see some questions. Okay.
Just want to do a time check. We're
Right.
at the top of the hour. Do you want to take one more, Gordon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take one more question. Is there anyone?
Oh, actually, yeah. Stu had another question. I'm sorry, I accidentally deleted it. So, Stu, can you repeat it?
Yeah, I was just wanting to follow up on the possibility of doing staggered upgrades. I assume that's not possible, that after you do the upgrade in Salesforce that all mobile instances of 2.27 are no longer operable. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right. So we'll have to synchronize this across the organization at one particular point in time.
Right. As a implementation note, I would say check which one need more up-to-date sync. So for example, you got 2 teams in 2 countries, and one of your countries are having jobs that can basically run without needing to sync for the next 2-3 days, right? They don't need to sync because they're not using drill down or things are not changing as often. Then that's the one. Then the other group is the one you want to prioritize.
Okay, thanks.
Great. So I think we're definitely at the top of the hour. Want to respect people's time. But if you got any questions, feel free. Otherwise, I would like to pass this back to Elaine for wrap-up. I'll just definitely like to say thank you very much for your attention beforehand. And when you get the email to put in your feedback for this webinar, I hope you're excited about this as much as I am, but I would love to hear your feedback. We all would love to hear your feedback. So thank you before that.
Yep, and I think,
Elaine?
as I mentioned before, we'll be sending this out, this recording, so look out for it on our website, and we'll also follow up with an email. So keep those questions coming, and we look forward to getting everyone